Let me tell you about the day I stopped believing in the law. December 3rd, 2019. I was standing in my office on the 23rd floor of the tallest building in Victoria Island, Lagos. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see the Atlantic Ocean stretching endlessly. I had everything. A corner office, a Rolls-Royce in the parking garage, invitations to every high society event from Banana Island to Ikoyi. My name is Stephen Allen, and I was the most feared defense attorney in Nigeria. Not the most loved, not the most ethical, the most feared. Because when I walked into a courtroom, prosecutors knew they were about to lose. I had defended oil tycoons accused of embezzlement, politicians caught with blood on their hands, CEOs who'd crushed competitors through means that would never see daylight. My win rate? 94.7%. I made 60 million naira in the last year alone. But none of that prepared me for her. Please subscribe to this channel and let's keep breathing life into stories that were never meant to stay silent. Now, let's continue. My phone rang at 11:47 p.m. on that Tuesday night. I was at home in my Lekki penthouse going through case files, a glass of Remy Martin beside me. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Stephen Allen speaking. Heavy breathing on the other end. Then a woman's voice, shaking. Mr. Allen, my name is Rita Badmus. I need your help. I'd heard desperation before. This was different. This was terror. How did you get this number, Miss Badmus? Your colleague, Barrister Anthony. He said you're the only one who can save me. I sat up straighter. Anthony didn't give out my personal number, not unless something was serious. Save you from what? Silence. Then, they're saying I killed my husband. I should explain something about myself. I grew up in Surulere, not the nice part, the part where generator noise is the soundtrack to your childhood and NEPA takes the light every other day. My father was a driver for a wealthy family in Ikoyi. My mother sold vegetables in Oyingbo Market. They scraped together everything to send me to University of Lagos. I graduated top of my class, went to LSE in London for my master's, came back to Nigeria with a fire in my belly and a promise to myself. I would never be poor again. I would never be powerless again. So I became powerful. Maybe too powerful. I'd stopped asking if my clients were innocent years ago. Guilt or innocence didn't matter. What mattered was winning. What mattered was the fee. But Rita Badmus's case? That was going to change everything. I met Rita the next morning at Kirikiri Maximum Security Prison. If you've never been to Kirikiri, let me paint you a picture. Concrete walls stained with decades of despair. The smell of sweat, fear, and broken dreams. Guards who look at you like you're already guilty just for being there. I'd been there 100 times. It never got easier. They brought her out in handcuffs, and I swear to you, time stopped. Rita Badmus was beautiful. Not the Instagram kind of beautiful, not the video vixen kind, the kind of beautiful that makes you forget where you are. Caramel skin, natural hair pulled back into a simple bun, no makeup, she didn't need it. But it wasn't her looks that caught me. It was her eyes. Brown, deep, and absolutely fearless. She sat down across from me in that interrogation room, handcuffed, dressed in prison-issued clothing, and she looked at me like she was interviewing me. Mr. Allen, she said, her voice steady, thank you for coming. I opened my briefcase, pulled out my notepad. I haven't agreed to take your case yet, Miss Badmus. I need to hear the facts first. She nodded slowly. Fair enough. What do you want to know? Did you kill your husband? She didn't flinch, didn't look away. No. The police say they found you standing over his body, gun in your hand, your fingerprints on the trigger, gunshot residue on your clothes. All true. Then help me understand how you're innocent. She leaned forward. Even in handcuffs, she had presence. Mr. Allen, have you ever loved someone so much that you'd die for them? This isn't about love, Miss Badmus. This is about murder. No, she said quietly. This is about both. Rita's husband was Chief Emeka Badmus, and in Lagos, when you say chief, it means something. Emeka was old money. His grandfather had made a fortune in the 1960s importing goods from Liverpool. His father had multiplied it in real estate. By the time Emeka inherited the empire, the Badmus family was worth over 2 billion naira. They had houses in Banana Island, London, and Dubai. They drove cars that cost more than most Nigerians would make in a lifetime. They were untouchable. And on November 28, 2019, someone had touched them. Chief Emeka Badmus was found dead in his study at their Banana Island mansion, 3 gunshot wounds to the chest. His wife Rita standing over him, gun in her hand. The media went insane. Murder in paradise, wife kills billionaire husband. Banana Island blood, the dark side of Lagos luxury. From rags to riches to murder, the Rita Badmus story. Because here's the thing about Rita. She wasn't old money. She was from Festac. How did you meet your husband? I asked Rita during that first meeting. She smiled. Actually smiled. In prison. Accused of murder. At a charity gala, she said. 4 years ago. I was serving drinks. I raised an eyebrow. Serving drinks? I was working for the catering company, trying to save money for university. I wanted to study medicine. She paused, lost in the memory. Emeka was there with his family, old money people, the kind who don't see the help. But he saw you. He saw me. He asked my name. I thought he was just being polite. You know how these big men can be. I did know. 2 days later, he showed up at the catering company, asked for me, took me to lunch at La Taverna. La Taverna, one of the most expensive restaurants in Lagos. We talked for 3 hours. He asked about my dreams, my family, what I wanted from life. And what did you want? A chance, she said simply. Just a chance to be something more than a poor girl from Festac. So you married him. Her eyes flashed. I married him because I loved him, Mr. Allen, not because of his money. People will say a lot of things. They always do. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been so poor that you ate once a day? That you wore the same clothes for a week? That you watched your mother cry because she couldn't afford to send you to school? I stayed quiet. I thought not. So don't sit there and judge me for finding someone who loved me and could give me a better life. I'm not ashamed of where I came from, and I'm not ashamed of who I married. What about his family? I asked. Rita's expression changed. The warmth disappeared. They hated me from day one. Because you weren't from their class? Because I wasn't who they chose. Emeka's mother, Lola Badmus, had already picked out a wife for him, some girl from another wealthy family, good breeding, right connections. She laughed bitterly. When Emeka told them he was marrying me instead, his mother said I was a prostitute who'd trapped her son. What did Emeka say? He chose me, cut off his mother for a year, moved us into our own house, built a wall between his old life and our new one. That must have created enemies. Mr. Allen, when you marry into that kind of family, everyone is your enemy. They smile at you at parties, they post pictures with you on Instagram, but behind closed doors, they're waiting for you to fail. She leaned back in her chair. When Emeka died, his mother was the first person to call the police. She told them I did it. She told them I married him for money and killed him when I got bored. Did the police believe her? The police always believe people with money and power, Mr. Allen. You know that. I did know that. Better than anyone. After meeting Rita, I went to the police station in Ikoyi. I had connections there, a superintendent named Thomas who owed me favors. "Stephen," he said when I walked into his office, "I was wondering when you'd show up. The Badmus case." He sighed. "You're representing the wife?" "I'm considering it. I need to see the evidence." He pulled out a file. Thick. Too thick for a straightforward case.
It's not good, Stephen. I'll be honest with you. He spread out the crime scene photos. I'd seen thousands of crime scene photos. Dead bodies don't shock me anymore. But this was brutal. Chief Emeka Badmus lying on the floor of his study. Blood pooled around him. 3 entry wounds, close range. And Rita, in the photo taken minutes after, standing there. Gun in her hand, blood on her clothes, a look of absolute shock on her face. Ballistics matched the gun to the bullets, Thomas said. Her fingerprints are the only ones on the weapon. Gunshot residue on her hands and clothes, no signs of forced entry, no other suspects. What about motive? Life insurance, 50 million naira, plus she inherits half his estate. That's not motive, that's standard marriage. Stephen, come on. Poor girl from Festac marries billionaire. 4 years later, he's dead and she's rich? You do the math. I looked at the photos again. Something felt wrong. Was there an argument? History of domestic violence? None. By all accounts, they were happy. Neighbors said they never heard fighting. Then why would she suddenly kill him? Thomas shrugged. Maybe she got tired of waiting for him to die naturally. Maybe she found someone else. Maybe she just wanted the money. Does it matter? The evidence is clear. But it wasn't clear to me. Nothing about this case was clear. I should have walked away. Red flags everywhere, impossible evidence, a client who would be convicted in the court of public opinion before we even started. But I didn't walk away. I went back to Kitty the next day. Rita was surprised to see me. "Mr. Allen, I didn't expect you back so soon." I sat down across from her. "I've seen the evidence, Miss Badmus. It's bad. Worse than bad. You understand that?" "I do. If I take this case, it will be the hardest I've ever fought. I'll need complete honesty from you. No surprises, no secrets. Can you give me that?" She looked at me for a long moment. "I can give you honesty, Mr. Allen, but I can't promise no surprises." "What does that mean?" "It means there are things about that night, things I don't fully understand myself, things that don't make sense, but I swear to you I didn't kill my husband." I should have asked more questions. I should have demanded clarity. Instead, I said, "Okay, I'll take your case." Relief flooded her face. Thank you so much. I can't pay you right now, but when this is over," I held up my hand. "We'll work something out. Right now, I need you to tell me everything about that night. Every detail, starting from the beginning." Rita took a deep breath. November 28th started like any normal day. Emeka and I had breakfast together. He was stressed about work, something about a new business deal. He wouldn't tell me the details. He never did. He said it was to protect me. "Protect you from what?" He said the less I knew about his business, the safer I would be. I thought he was being paranoid. She continued. "That evening we had dinner at home, just the two of us. Our chef had prepared pepper soup and pounded yam. Emeka loved it." "What time was this?" "Around 7 p.m. We ate, we talked about maybe taking a vacation, Dubai or Paris, somewhere we could just be together without Lagos watching us. And then, around 9 p.m. someone came to the house." I leaned forward. "Who?" "I don't know. Emeka's phone rang. He went outside to take the call. When he came back, he said he had to meet someone in his study. He told me to stay upstairs, said it was business." "Did you see this person?" "No. Our security let them in through the back gate. Emeka always did that with certain visitors, people he didn't want the staff to see." "So you went upstairs?" "Yes. I took a bath, read a book. Around 10:30, I heard raised voices from downstairs." "What were they saying?" I couldn't make out the words, but Emeka sounded angry, really angry. I'd never heard him like that before. "And then?" Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Then I heard the gunshots."
3 shots, Rita said. Boom, boom, boom. Her hands were shaking now. I ran out of the bedroom, down the stairs. I was screaming Emeka's name. The study door was open. I saw him on the floor, blood everywhere. I ran to him. I was crying, shaking him, begging him to wake up. And the gun? It was right there, next to him. I don't know why I picked it up. I wasn't thinking. I just grabbed it. Maybe I thought whoever did this was still there. Maybe I thought I needed to protect myself. Did you see anyone else in the room? No, but the window was open, the one that leads to the garden. Had it been open before? I don't know. I don't think so. What happened next? The security guard heard the shots. He came running, saw me standing there with the gun, started yelling. Then more guards came. Someone called the police. And they found you like that. Yes, standing over my husband's body, holding the murder weapon, looking guilty. After that second meeting, I sat in my car in Kirikiri's parking lot for 30 minutes, just thinking. Rita's story had holes, big ones. An unknown visitor who conveniently disappeared, an open window with no evidence of anyone climbing through, her fingerprints on the gun. But here's the thing. I'd defended enough guilty people to know what guilt looks like. Guilt is defensive. Guilt is too many details. Guilt is a story that's too perfect. Rita's story wasn't perfect. It was confused, traumatized, real. Or maybe I was just seeing what I wanted to see, because somewhere between that first meeting and this moment, something had shifted. I wasn't just taking this case for the challenge. I wasn't taking it for the publicity. I was taking it because every time I looked at Rita Badmus, something in my chest tightened. And that was dangerous. That was unprofessional. That was exactly what I'd promised myself I'd never let happen. But it was too late. I was already in too deep. The next morning, I called an emergency meeting with my team. My associate, Chitinma Nuosu, sharp as a blade, Lagos State Law School, top of her class. My investigator, Femi Bakare, ex-police, left the force when he got tired of corrupt superiors. Now he worked for people who could afford the truth. And my paralegal, Tunde Adewale, young, hungry, believed in justice more than money. I needed all of them if we were going to win. Okay, I said, standing at the head of my conference room table. The Rita Badmus case, what do we know? Chidinma pulled up a presentation on the screen. Rita Badmus, age 28, born and raised in Festac, parents deceased, no siblings, worked various jobs before meeting Chief Emeka Badmus at a charity event 4 years ago. They married 8 months after meeting, courthouse wedding. His family wasn't invited. Red flag number 1, Femi said. Or sign of a man who knew his family would never accept her, I countered. Chidinma continued. Chief Emeka Badmus, age 52, net worth estimated at 2 billion naira, real estate development, import-export, and recently, tech investments. Tech investments? I asked. Yes, in the last year, he'd become obsessed with fintech, blockchain, cryptocurrency. He'd invested 50 million naira into a startup called PayBridge. I wrote that down. What's PayBridge? Tunde jumped in. It's a payment platform, supposed to revolutionize how Nigerians send money. But it's been having problems, regulatory issues, questions about where the money is actually going. Is it legitimate? Unknown. The founders are young guys from Yaba. Smart, but maybe too smart, if you know what I mean. I knew exactly what he meant. Femi, I need you to dig into PayBridge, find out everything. Who runs it, where the money goes, if there's anything shady. On it. Chidinma, I need you to research the family, Emeka's mother, siblings, business partners, anyone who might have wanted him dead. You think this was a setup? I think the evidence is too clean. In my experience, real murders are messy. This looks staged. By the end of that week, Rita's case was everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Every blog, every newspaper, every TV station. Linda's blog, Festac girl kills billionaire husband, full story. Punch newspaper, murder in Banana Island, the Rita Badmus trial. Channels TV had a whole segment, from poverty to prison, a cautionary tale. Social media was even worse. On Twitter, this Festac girl thought she could finesse her way into billions. Now she's going to Kirikiri for life. Hashtag Rita Badmus, hashtag justice for Chief Emeka. Y'all really think Chief Emeka just died? That girl killed him. She wanted the money.
Tale as old as time. #gold digger. But there were other voices too. Why are we so quick to blame the woman? What if she's innocent? What if his family set her up? #Team Rita. #innocent until proven. Another poor woman being crushed by the rich. They never wanted her in that family. Now they're destroying her. #I stand with Rita. Nigeria loves a scandal, and this was the scandal of the year. The problem was, every day Rita spent in prison, public opinion got worse. Every headline made her look more guilty, and guilty in the court of public opinion usually means guilty in the court of law. I needed to change the narrative. Femi and I went to the crime scene, the Badmus mansion in Banana Island. If you've never been to Banana Island, let me explain. It's an artificial island in Lagos, built in the Ikoyi area, where Nigeria's wealthiest live. Houses start at 500 million naira, and that's for the modest ones. The Badmus mansion was not modest. 3 stories, white stone facade, manicured gardens, a gate that probably cost more than my first car. The police had released the scene. The family was letting us investigate. Or so they said. When we pulled up, there was a woman waiting at the gate. She was in her 60s, elegant, expensive jewelry, the kind of woman who'd never had to ask for anything. "Mr. Allen," she said coldly. "Mrs. Badmus, Emeka's mother, Lola Badmus. I'm surprised you'd show your face here, defending that murderer. Alleged murderer, Ma. That's why we have trials." She laughed, a cruel sound. "My son is dead. That girl from Festac killed him, and you're going to set her free so she can enjoy the money she married him for. If you truly believe Rita killed your son, then you have nothing to fear from a fair investigation." Her eyes narrowed. "You have 30 minutes. Don't touch anything you don't need to." She walked away, heels clicking on the marble driveway. The study was exactly as the police photos showed. Hardwood floors, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a massive mahogany desk, and a dark stain on the floor where Chief Emeka died. Someone had tried to clean it, but blood doesn't come out that easily. Femi was taking measurements, photos, notes. I was looking at everything else. The window Rita mentioned, it was closed now, but I could see that it had been recently oiled. It opened smoothly, no creaking. "Someone could have gone through here," I said. "Maybe," Femi said, "but there's no footprints in the garden. I checked, nothing disturbed. What if they covered their tracks? Possible, but why leave the window open then? Why give Rita that detail for her story?" Good question. I looked at the desk, papers neatly stacked, a laptop. Police had already taken the hard drive. But there was something else, a photo frame, Emeka and Rita on their wedding day. She was smiling, genuinely smiling. He was looking at her like she was the only person in the world. That's not the look of a man who was in danger. That's not the look of a man who feared his wife. "Stephen," Femi called, "look at this." He was pointing at the wall, behind where the desk was. A safe, small, built into the wall, hidden behind a painting. "Police checked it?" I asked. According to the report, yes, it was empty. Empty? Completely. That's strange. Rich men always keep something in their safes. Cash, documents, jewelry. Unless someone emptied it. Rita said she didn't know the combination. Maybe she didn't, but someone did.
As we were leaving, a man approached us in the driveway. Mid-40s, expensive suit, nervous energy. "Mr. Allen, I'm Tunde Fashola. I was Chief Emeka's business partner." I stopped. "Mr. Fashola, I'd like to talk to you." "That's why I'm here. I heard you were investigating. There are things you should know." "Like what?" He looked around nervously. Mrs. Badmus was watching from an upstairs window. "Not here. Meet me tomorrow. Radisson Blu, the lobby bar, 2 p.m. "Why the secrecy?" "Because Chief Emeka didn't just die, Mr. Allen. He was killed for a reason. And if people know I'm talking to you..." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. The next day, I met Tunde Fashola at the Radisson Blu in Victoria Island. He was already there when I arrived, drinking whiskey, even though it was 2 p.m. "Mr. Fashola, call me Tunde. Please, sit." I sat, ordered a coffee.
You said Chief Emeka was killed for a reason. What reason? He took a long drink, then leaned forward. Emeka and I started PayBridge together 2 years ago. It was supposed to be revolutionary, a way to move money across Africa without the traditional banking fees. I've heard of it. What you haven't heard is where the initial capital came from. I waited. We took investments from some questionable people, Nigerian politicians who needed to move money, foreign investors who didn't ask too many questions about where their returns came from. You're talking about money laundering. I'm talking about survival in Nigerian business, Mr. Allen. You know how it works. You can't build something without getting your hands dirty. I did know. I defended enough people to know exactly how Nigerian business worked. So what went wrong? Emeka got cold feet. About 3 months ago, he found out that some of the money being moved through PayBridge was connected to darker things, human trafficking, drug money, arms deals. My blood ran cold. He wanted out? He wanted to shut the whole thing down, report it to EFCC, come clean. And the investors? We're not happy. We're talking about people who don't accept no as an answer, Mr. Allen. People who make problems disappear. You're saying they killed him. I'm saying Emeka received death threats. I'm saying he hired extra security. I'm saying he was terrified in his last weeks. Why didn't he go to the police? Tunde laughed. Half the police are on their payroll. He couldn't trust anyone. Why are you telling me this? Because Rita didn't kill Emeka. I know she didn't, and I can't let an innocent woman go to prison while the real killers walk free. Can you testify to this? He hesitated. If I testify, I'm a dead man. If you don't, Rita is a dead woman. Prison for life. He drained his whiskey. Let me think about it. That evening, I went back to Kitty. I needed to ask Rita about PayBridge, but when they brought her into the visitation room, something was different. She looked defeated. Rita, are you okay? She sat down heavily. The other inmates, they watch TV, they read the blogs. They think I'm a murderer. You can't listen to that. One of them said she hopes I rot in here. Another one said I deserve whatever I get. Rita. And maybe they're right. Maybe I do deserve this. Don't say that. My husband is dead, Mr. Allen. Whether I killed him or not, he's dead, and I couldn't save him. I saw tears forming in her eyes, the first time I'd seen her crack. Rita, look at me. She did. I believe you. Do you hear me? I believe you didn't kill your husband. Why? The evidence. Forget the evidence. I've met hundreds of guilty people. You're not one of them. How can you be sure? Because guilty people don't cry for the victim, they cry for themselves. She wiped her eyes. There's something I need to ask you. Did Emeka ever talk to you about PayBridge? Her expression changed. How do you know about PayBridge? I've been investigating. Did he talk to you about it? No. He always said business was business. He kept me separate from all of that. Did he seem worried in the weeks before he died? Stressed? Scared? She thought for a moment. Yes. Actually, yes. He wasn't sleeping well. He was on the phone at odd hours. Sometimes I'd wake up and he'd be in his study at 3 a.m. Did he tell you why? He said it was just work pressure, a difficult deal. But now that you mention it, he did say something strange. What? About 2 weeks before he died, he said to me, Rita, if anything happens to me, don't trust anyone. Not my family, not my partners, no one. And you didn't ask what he meant? I thought he was being dramatic. Emeka could be like that sometimes, paranoid about business. Rita, he wasn't being paranoid. He was in danger. I told her everything Tunde Fashola had said. When I finished, she was shaking. So someone killed him because he wanted to expose them? That's my theory. And they're letting me take the fall? Yes. She looked at me with those deep brown eyes. Can you prove it? I'm going to try. The next 2 weeks were a blur. Femi dug into PayBridge, found transactions that didn't make sense, money moving to shell companies in Dubai, Cyprus, Panama. Chidinma researched the investors, found names connected to powerful politicians, business people with questionable histories. Tunde interviewed the household staff, the security guards, the neighbors, and I started building a case. Not the case the prosecution expected, a different case. The case that Chief Emeka Badmus was murdered because he was a threat, and his wife was the perfect scapegoat. But proving it? That was going to be nearly impossible, because in Nigeria, when you go after powerful people, they fight back, and they fight dirty. On a Friday night, I was working late at my office. Everyone else had gone home, just me, my files, and the city lights below. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text message. Drop the Bodmus case. This is your only warning. I stared at the message. Then another one came. We know where you live. We know where your mother lives in Sudile. Walk away. My blood turned to ice. My mother. I called her immediately. Mummy, are you okay? Stephen, yes-o, I'm fine. Why? What's wrong? I'm sending security to your house. Don't argue, just let them stay outside. Stephen, what is happening? Nothing, Mummy. Just a precaution. Please, for me. She agreed reluctantly. I called Femi. We're getting close to something. They're threatening me. What do you want to do? Keep digging, but be careful, all of you. Stephen, maybe we should... No, we're not dropping this. If we drop it, Rita dies in prison. And if we continue, you might die outside of it. Then I'll die fighting. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Chidinma found something in Chief Emeka's phone records. The police had pulled them, but they'd focused on calls to and from Rita. Chidinma looked at everyone else, and she found a pattern. In the 3 weeks before his death, Emeka had called the same number 17 times, a number registered to a company called Sentinel Security Services. What's Sentinel? I asked. Private security firm, Chidinma said. They provide bodyguards, investigation services, surveillance. Why would Emeka need private security? He already had guards. That's what I wondered. So I called them, pretended to be a client, asked about their services. And they also provide digital security, encrypted communications, data protection, and evidence collection. My mind was racing. Emeka was building a case. He was collecting evidence against the Paybridge investors. That's what I think, and I think that evidence is somewhere. Probably digital, probably encrypted. The laptop, the police took it. I already checked with Superintendent Thomas. The laptop was clean. Whatever Emeka had, it wasn't on there. Then where? Tunde spoke up from across the room. The cloud, it has to be. Emeka was obsessed with cloud storage, said physical drives could be destroyed, but cloud storage? If you hide it well enough, it's almost impossible to find. But we'd need his passwords, his encryption keys. Or, Chidinma said slowly, we need someone who he would have trusted with that information. We all looked at each other. Rita, I said. The next morning, I rushed to Kitikiti. Rita was confused when they brought her out. Mr. Allen, it's Saturday. What's... Rita, I need you to think very carefully. Did Emeka ever give you any passwords, any codes, anything related to cloud storage or encrypted files? She looked confused. No, I don't think. Think, Rita. Anything, even something that seemed random. She was quiet for a long moment. Then her eyes widened. The poem. What poem? On our last anniversary, Emeka wrote me a poem. It was strange. He wasn't a poem kind of man. Very practical. But he insisted I memorize it. Do you remember it? Yes. It was short, 4 lines. Beneath the bridge where payments flow, 7 stars align in crypto's glow. Rita's garden holds the key, where truth awaits for all to see. I grabbed my phone, started typing it into my notes. What does it mean? Rita asked. Paybridge. 7. Maybe a password with 7 characters? Rita's garden. Do you have a garden? We had a small garden at the house. I planted roses. Emeka bought me the seeds. What kind of roses? Blue roses. They were imported, very expensive. He said blue was my color. Chidinma was already on it. Video call from the office. Blue roses. Paybridge. 7 characters. Crypto. Her fingers were flying across her keyboard. Got it. Emeka had a cloud account with a Swiss server, heavily encrypted. The username is... Oh my God. What? The username is Rita's Garden 7. Can you access it? I need a password. Something 7 characters. I looked at Rita. What's special to you? What would Emeka use? She thought. Our wedding date? November 14th? That's numbers. My hometown, Festac. 8 letters. Then Rita's eyes filled with tears. Wait, he used to call me something. A nickname. Only he called me this. What? Beloved. He said I was his beloved.
Beloved. 7 letters. "Try it," I said. Chidimma typed. Silence. Then, "I'm in." What we found in that cloud account changed everything. Emeka had been meticulous. Months of evidence. Bank statements showing money flowing through PayBridge to offshore accounts. Recorded phone conversations with investors discussing illegal activities. Emails detailing shipments that were clearly not legitimate business. Photos, documents, an entire paper trail. But there was more. A video file, dated November 27th, 1 day before the murder. Emeka, sitting at his desk, looking exhausted. "If you're watching this, I'm probably dead." His voice was steady, resigned. "My name is Chief Emeka Badmus. I'm recording this as insurance, as evidence, and as an apology to my wife, Rita, who deserves so much better than what I've brought into her life." He took a breath. 6 months ago, I discovered that PayBridge, the company I co-founded, was being used to launder money for criminal organizations, drug cartels, human traffickers, corrupt politicians. I tried to get out. I tried to shut it down, but the investors wouldn't let me. They threatened me. They threatened Rita. So I collected evidence. Everything you see in this account is proof of their crimes. I've contacted Sentinel Security to help me prepare this information for EFCC and Interpol. But I know these people. I know how they operate. If I'm dead, they'll try to pin it on someone. Probably Rita. She's the easy target, the poor girl who married rich, the perfect scapegoat. His eyes were wet now. "Rita, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I brought you into this world. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. But I loved you. God knows I loved you. Every day with you was worth whatever comes next. To whoever is investigating my death, look at the files in this account. Follow the money. The truth is all here." The video ended. I sat in my office watching it for the 3rd time. Femi was beside me. Chidimma too. "This changes everything," Femi said. "This proves Rita is innocent," Chidimma added. "No," I said, "this proves Emeka expected to be killed, but it doesn't prove who pulled the trigger that night." "But it gives her motive to be innocent. It shows she was being set up." "It's a start, but we need more. We need to know who was in that house that night." Femi went back to Banana Island. This time he didn't ask permission. He talked to the security company that handled the estate's surveillance, and he found something the police had missed. The main gate camera had been reviewed. It showed no one entering or leaving around the time of the murder. But there were other cameras, the perimeter cameras, the ones facing the street. And one of them, positioned at the corner of the property, had caught something. A black Range Rover, parked on the street outside the back entrance. No license plate visible, windows tinted. It arrived at 9:47 p.m. It left at 10:38 p.m., 11 minutes after the estimated time of death. "Can we trace the vehicle?" I asked Femi. "I'm trying, but with no plate, it's difficult. I'm checking traffic cameras in the area, seeing if I can follow its route." "Keep looking. That vehicle is our key." I needed to talk to Emeka's family again. Not the lawyers, not the media statements. Face to face. I showed up at the Badmus family house in Ikoyi. Lola Badmus was not happy to see me. "Mr. Allen, I told you. I know what you told me, but I have new evidence, and I think you'll want to hear it." Her expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Fear. She led me to a sitting room, expensive furniture, family photos on the walls. Emeka as a child, Emeka graduating university, Emeka and Rita on their wedding day, though I noticed this photo was facing the wall. "What evidence?" demanded she. "Your son was murdered because he was going to expose criminal activity connected to his business. Did you know that?" "I knew my son was involved in risky ventures. I warned him. He didn't listen." "Did you know people were threatening him?" "Emeka never told me he was threatened." "Because you weren't speaking. You'd cut him off from marrying Rita." Her jaw tightened. "That girl was not suitable for my son. That girl is innocent of his murder.
The evidence says otherwise. The evidence was planted. Your son knew he was going to be killed. He recorded a video confession. He said they'd frame Rita. For the first time, Lola's composure cracked. A video? Yes, and in it, he says he loved her, that she made him happy, that she was the best thing that ever happened to him. Lola stood up, turned away from me. I wanted better for him. Better than love? Better than a girl from Festac who couldn't give him children, who couldn't connect him to the right families, who couldn't... She stopped herself. Wait, what did you say? She didn't answer. You said she couldn't give him children? How did you know that? Silence. Mrs. Badmus, how did you know Rita couldn't have children? Lola turned to me, and in her eyes I saw something I'd seen before. Guilt. Tell me, I said. Lola sat down heavily. 3 years ago, Rita had a miscarriage. She was devastated. Emeka brought her to a private clinic. Very expensive, very discreet. How do you know this? Because I paid the doctor to tell me. I wanted to know everything about the woman my son married. And the doctor told you she couldn't have children? The miscarriage damaged her uterus. The chances of her carrying a child to term were very low. And you told Emeka this? No, I told him he should divorce her, that a woman who couldn't give him heirs was useless, that he'd made a mistake. And what did he say? Her voice broke. He said he didn't marry her for children. He married her because she made him feel alive, because she loved him for who he was, not what he had. She wiped her eyes. That's when I knew I'd lost him. He chose her over me, over his family, over his legacy. Did you hate Rita enough to frame her for murder? Her head snapped up. I didn't frame anyone for anything. But you wanted her gone. Wanting and doing are different things, Mr. Allen. Are they? Because from where I'm standing, you had motive. You had access to the house. You had reason to want your son's wife in prison. I did not kill my son, she was shouting now. I loved him. He was my only boy, my pride. I would never... She broke down completely, sobbing, and I believed her. Hate, yes. Jealousy, yes. But murder? No. This wasn't the killer. But she knew something. Mrs. Badmus, the night Emeka died, where were you? At home, here, with my daughters. And your husband? My husband died 12 years ago. Who else knew about the Paybridge situation? I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. Emeka was in trouble. Someone in this family must have known. She was quiet for a long time. Then, talk to his brother, Chidi. Chidi Badmus, Emeka's younger brother. I'd seen him in the family photos, but never met him. According to Lola, Chidi had been traveling when Emeka died. Dubai, for business. I asked Femi to look into him. What he found was interesting. Chidi was 45, MBA from Harvard, worked in finance. But unlike Emeka, Chidi had struggled. Bad investments, failed businesses, mounting debt. And 3 months before Emeka's death, Chidi had asked his brother for a loan, 50 million naira. Emeka had refused. Why would he refuse his own brother? I asked Femi. According to the email I found, yes, I hacked into Chidi's account, don't ask me how. Emeka said he couldn't trust Chidi with that much money, said Chidi had a gambling problem. 50 million naira. That's a lot of desperation. Gets better. Guess who was a silent investor in Paybridge? Chidi? Bingo. Small stake, 5%. But if the company went under, which it would if Emeka exposed the money laundering, Chidi would lose everything. Motive. Strong motive. Where is Chidi now? Back in Lagos, living in a modest apartment in Lekki. Very modest for someone from that family. Let's pay him a visit.
Chidi Badmus's apartment was a far cry from the family mansion. Small, cluttered, the smell of stale food and desperation. He opened the door in a stained t-shirt and shorts.
Yes?
Mr. Chidi Badmus? I'm Stephen Allen. I'm representing Rita Badmus in your brother's murder case. His face went pale. I don't have anything to say to you. He tried to close the door. I put my foot in the way. We can talk here, or we can talk at my office with a subpoena. Your choice. He hesitated, then let us in. The apartment was worse inside. Empty beer bottles, betting slips scattered on the table. You have a gambling problem, I said, not a question. That's none of your business. It is when it gives you motive to kill your brother. I didn't kill Emeka. You needed money. He refused to give it to you. You were about to lose everything when he decided to expose Paybridge. You don't know what you're talking about. Then explain it to me. Where were you the night of November 28th? Dubai. I told the police. The police didn't check very carefully. I did. Your flight didn't leave until 11 p.m. Plenty of time to drive to Banana Island, kill your brother, and make it to the airport. You're insane. Am I? Because I also know you own a black Range Rover, same model that was seen outside your brother's house that night. His face went from pale to ashen. That's circumstantial. Maybe, but it's enough to put you on the suspect list, which means Rita isn't the only option anymore. I loved my brother. I'm sure you did, but you loved money more. He collapsed onto his couch. You don't understand. I was drowning. The debts, the loan sharks, they were threatening my family. So you killed for money? No. He looked up at me. I didn't kill him. But what? I was there that night. I went to see Emeka that night, Chidi said. I was desperate. I thought maybe if I begged him face to face, he'd help me. What time? Around 9:30. I parked outside, called him. He said he was busy, but I could come in through the back. Did you see anyone else there? No, just him in his study. What did you talk about? I begged him for the money. He said no again. He said I needed to take responsibility for my choices, get help for the gambling. Were you angry? Of course I was angry, but I didn't shoot him. Then what happened? We argued for maybe 20 minutes. He was getting angrier, said I was a disgrace to the family, that he was ashamed to call me his brother. And then his phone rang. He answered it. His face changed. He told me to leave immediately, said someone important was coming and I couldn't be there. Did he say who? No, just told me to go, so I left. What time? Maybe 9:50. I sat in my car for a few minutes, trying to decide what to do. Then I saw another car pull up. What kind of car? A Mercedes, black, tinted windows. Someone got out. I couldn't see who. They went inside through the back entrance. And you didn't think this was important to tell the police? I panicked. I thought if I admitted I was there, they'd blame me. So I kept quiet, took my flight to Dubai like it was planned. But you came back. Because I felt guilty. Because Rita is innocent and everyone knows it. But I'm a coward, Mr. Allen. I couldn't risk my own freedom for hers. I looked at Femi. He was recording all of this. Chidi, I need you to testify to this in court. They'll destroy me. They'll destroy Rita if you don't. An innocent woman will go to prison for life. And what about me? What about my debts, my problems? Your problems are yours to solve. But this is a chance to do one right thing. Maybe the first right thing you've done in years. He put his head in his couch. We had 3 weeks until trial. 3 weeks to build a defense that would convince a jury. The evidence we'd gathered was explosive. Emeka's video confession, the encrypted files showing money laundering, Chidi's testimony about the mysterious visitor, security footage of the black Mercedes. But the prosecution had something too. Rita, standing over the body, gun in hand, gunshot residue, fingerprints. Physical evidence beats theory every time. We needed more. We needed the smoking gun. Literally. Femi found a ballistics expert, Dr. Ngozi Okafor, one of the best in West Africa. She examined the gun, the bullets, the crime scene photos, and she found something. Mr. Allen, she said in our conference room, this doesn't add up. What doesn't? The angle of entry. The bullets entered Chief Badmus's chest at a downward angle, about 15 degrees. Meaning the shooter was taller than him, or he was already on the ground when he was shot. How tall was Chief Badmus? According to the autopsy, 6 foot 1 inch. And Rita? 5 foot 4. I felt electricity run through me.
She would have to shoot upward, not downward. Exactly. Unless she was standing on something, but there's no evidence of that in the crime scene photos. Could someone else have shot him? Someone taller? Based purely on the ballistics, yes. The shooter was likely between 6 feet and 6 feet 4 inches. Can you testify to this? I can testify to the science, yes.
I went to see Rita with the news. She cried when I told her. Not sad tears, relief tears. Does this mean? It means we have a fighting chance. It means the physical evidence doesn't match the prosecution's theory. Stephen! She reached across the table, took my hand. In all the months I'd represented her, we'd never touched. Her hand was warm, soft. Thank you for believing me, for fighting for me. Rita, I know this is just your job. I know you do this for everyone. But it feels like more than that. Like you actually care. I should have pulled my hand away. I should have kept it professional. Instead, I held her hand tighter. I do care. More than I should. She looked at me with those eyes. When this is over, she started. When this is over, you'll be free. You'll be able to start your life again. And you? I'll be your lawyer. That's all I can be. That's all you can be now. But after the verdict, I didn't know what to say. Because somewhere in the last few months, this had stopped being just a case. This had become personal. And that scared me more than any courtroom ever had. The night before trial, I couldn't sleep. I stood on my balcony looking at Lagos. The lights, the noise, the endless energy of the city. My phone rang. Chidima. Stephen, we have a problem. What kind of problem? Tunde Fashola, Emeka's business partner, the one who was going to testify about Paybridge. What about him? He's dead. My blood ran cold. Dead how? Car accident, 3 hours ago, on 3rd Mainland Bridge. His car went over the side. That's not an accident. No, it's not. They're cleaning up, getting rid of witnesses. Stephen, maybe we should ask for a postponement for safety. No, we're ready. And if we postpone, they'll just use the time to cover their tracks more. What about our safety? We'll be careful, but we're not backing down. After I hung up, I poured myself a drink. Thought about my father, the driver who'd worked his whole life for rich people. Thought about my mother, the market woman who'd sacrificed everything for my education. Thought about Rita, the girl from Festac who dared to dream of more. This case was bigger than one murder. This was about power, about who gets to win in Nigeria, about whether justice was only for those who could afford it. Tomorrow, we'd find out.
The High Court of Lagos State was packed. Media everywhere. Cameras, reporters. The Badmus family in the front row, Lola in all black, Chidi looking uncomfortable, and Rita. They brought her in handcuffs. She'd lost weight, but she held her head high. When our eyes met, she smiled, slightly. I smiled back. The judge entered, Justice Olabisi Adewale. Stern, fair, no nonsense. All rise. We rose. The matter of the state versus Rita Badmus. Charge, murder. How does the defendant plead? Rita stood, her voice clear. Not guilty, Your Honor. The prosecution went first. Mr. Biodun Lawal, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, expensive suit, shark smile. Your Honor, members of the jury, the evidence in this case is straightforward. On November 28, 2019, Rita Badmus murdered her husband in cold blood. He walked them through it, the gun with her fingerprints, the gunshot residue on her hands, the lack of any other suspects, the financial motive. The prosecution will prove beyond reasonable doubt that Rita Badmus is guilty of murder. Thank you. He sat down. Then it was my turn. I stood, walked to the jury, looked each of them in the eye. Members of the jury, the prosecution wants you to believe this is a simple case. A gold-digging wife, a murdered husband, open and shut. But what if I told you that Chief Emeka Badmus knew he was going to be murdered? What if I told you he recorded a video days before his death predicting exactly what would happen? Murmurs in the courtroom. What if I told you that powerful people wanted him dead because he was about to expose a massive criminal conspiracy? What if I told you that my client, Rita Badmus, is not a murderer? She's a scapegoat. The prosecutor objected. Speculation, Your Honor. Overruled, the judge said. Continue, Mr. Allen. We will prove that Rita Badmus could not have physically committed this crime. We will prove that someone else was in that house that night. And we will prove that the real killers are still out there. I looked at Rita, and when we're done, you will see the truth. Thank you. For 3 days, the prosecution built their case. They brought in the lead detective. He walked through the crime scene, the evidence, the timeline. They brought in the medical examiner. Cause of death, 3 gunshot wounds. Time of death, between 10:15 and 10:45 p.m. They brought in the forensics expert. Fingerprints, gunshot residue, all pointing to Rita. And they brought in character witnesses, Emeka's friends, business associates, all saying the same thing. Rita was an outsider. She didn't fit. They'd always wondered about her motives. By day 3, it looked bad. Even I had to admit it. The jury was watching Rita with suspicion. The media was already writing conviction stories, but we hadn't presented our case yet. On day 4, we started our defense. Our first witness, Dr. Ngozi Okafor, ballistics expert. Dr. Okafor, I said, you examined the ballistics evidence in this case. What did you find? The bullets that killed Chief Badmus entered his chest at a downward angle of approximately 15 degrees. What does that tell you about the shooter? The shooter was taller than the victim. Chief Badmus was 6 feet 1 inch. The shooter was likely 6 feet or taller. And how tall is the defendant, Rita Badmus? 5 feet 4 inches. So is it physically possible for Rita to have shot her husband at that angle? Not while standing on level ground, no. Is there any evidence she was standing on something? A chair, a box? No. Nothing in the crime scene photos suggests that. So in your expert opinion, did Rita Badmus fire the shots that killed her husband? Based on the ballistics alone, it's highly unlikely. The courtroom erupted. The prosecutor objected. This doesn't prove she's innocent. She could have been standing on something that was moved. The judge banged her gavel. The objection is noted. Continue, Mr. Allen. Our next piece of evidence was the most important, Emeka's video. Your Honor, the defense would like to present video evidence recorded by the victim, Chief Emeka Badmus, 4 days before his death. The prosecutor jumped up. Objection! This video hasn't been authenticated. We have testimony from Sentinel Security Services confirming its authenticity, Your Honor. They helped Chief Emeka create the encrypted account where it was stored. The judge allowed it. The courtroom went dark. On the screen, Emeka appeared, and for the next 5 minutes, the entire court watched as a dead man told his own story. When it ended, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Even the prosecutor looked shaken. Rita was sobbing quietly. Your Honor, I said, this video proves that Chief Emeka Badmus knew he was going to be killed, and he knew his wife would be blamed. This is not speculation. This is the victim himself telling us what happened. The judge called a recess. After the recess, we called Chidi Badmus. He looked terrified walking to the witness stand. His mother, Lola, glared at him from her seat. Mr. Badmus, I said, you're the brother of the deceased, is that correct? Yes. Were you at the house the night your brother was murdered? He swallowed hard. Yes. Gasps filled the courtroom. Please tell the court what happened. He did, exactly as he'd told me. The argument, the phone call, the mysterious Mercedes. And did you see who got out of the Mercedes? No, the windows were tinted. But you saw someone enter the house. Yes. And around what time was this? Maybe 9:59, just before 10. And what did you do? I left. I panicked and I left. Why didn't you tell the police this?
Because I was a coward, because I thought they'd blame me. The prosecution cross-examined him brutally. Isn't it convenient, Mr. Badmus, that you're only coming forward now after your brother can't contradict you? I'm telling the truth. Or you're trying to save your brother's killer because you feel guilty. No, Rita is innocent. But the seed of doubt was planted.
That night, Femi called me. "Stephen, I found the Mercedes." "What?" "The black Mercedes from that night. I tracked it through traffic cameras. It's registered to a company called Clearview Consulting." "What's Clearview?" "Shell Corporation, front company." But I dug deeper. Guess who's listed as a silent partner? Who? Someone very familiar with the Badmus family. Someone who had access to the house. Someone who knew Emeka's routines. Who, Femi? The family lawyer, Barrister Samuel Okoye. My blood ran cold. Samuel Okoye. He'd been practicing for 30 years. He'd handled all the Badmus family's legal matters. He'd been at the funeral, expressing condolences. He'd been in court every day, watching our defense. Why would the family lawyer want Emeka dead? I'm not sure yet, but I found something else. Okoye was an investor in Paybridge, not a small investor. He'd put in 20 million naira. If Emeka exposed the money laundering, Okoye would lose everything. His investment, his reputation, possibly his law license. Exactly. Can we prove he was there that night? Not yet, but I'm working on it. The next day, I did something risky. I put Rita on the stand. Most lawyers don't let their clients testify. Too dangerous. Too many ways it can go wrong. But Rita wanted to, and I trusted her. "Mrs. Badmus," I said, "tell the jury about your relationship with your husband." She took a breath. "Emeka was the love of my life. He saw me when I was invisible. He loved me when I thought I was unlovable. He came from a world I never knew existed. Money, power, connections. But he never made me feel less than. He never treated me like I didn't belong." "Did you marry him for his money?" "No. I married him because when I was with him, I felt like I could be anyone, do anything. He made me believe in myself." "Did you kill your husband?" "No, never. I loved him. I still love him." Then the prosecution's turn. Mr. Lawal was merciless. "Mrs. Badmus, you were found standing over your husband's body with the murder weapon in your hand. How do you explain that?" "I heard gunshots. I ran downstairs. I saw him on the floor. I grabbed the gun. I wasn't thinking clearly." "But you had gunshot residue on your hands. How did that get there if you didn't fire the gun?" "I picked up the gun. Maybe it transferred then. I don't know. I'm not a forensics expert." "How convenient." "Objection," I stood. "Counsel is badgering the witness." "Sustained. Mr. Lawal, ask questions, don't editorialize." But the damage was starting to show. Rita's hands were shaking. She was struggling. "Mrs. Badmus," Lawal continued, "isn't it true that you knew about your husband's plans to report the money laundering?" "No, he never told me about his business." "Isn't it true that you were angry he was going to risk your comfortable life?" "No." "Isn't it true that you shot him in a moment of rage and then tried to cover it up?" "No, I loved him. I would never." She broke down crying. The judge called recess. I held Rita's hand as we left the courtroom. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. It's over. You're free." "I can't believe it. I can't." We stood there for a long moment, just holding each other. When she finally pulled back, she looked at me. "Thank you, Stephen, for everything, for believing me when no one else did." That night, Femi burst into my office. "I found it." "Found what?" "Proof. Samuel Okoye's phone was in the vicinity of the Badmus mansion the night of the murder." "How did you—"
I have contacts. Don't ask. But his phone pinged a cell tower within 500 meters of the house between 9:45 and 11 p.m. That places him at the scene. There's more. I found CCTV footage from a nearby shop. It shows the black Mercedes with a partial plate. I ran it. It's registered to Clearview, and Clearview's office is in the same building where Okoye has his practice. We have him. Not quite. This is circumstantial. We need something concrete, a confession, a witness, something. I thought for a moment. What if we force his hand? What if we call him as a witness tomorrow? He'll refuse. Maybe, but the jury will wonder why, and in his refusal, we plant doubt. It's risky. This whole case is risky. Before the trial resumed, I went to see Samuel Okoye. His office was in Marina, old building, old money. He was surprised to see me. "Mr. Allen, what can I do for you?" "You can tell me why you killed Chief Emeka Badmus." He didn't flinch, just smiled. "That's a serious accusation." "I know you were there that night. Your phone records prove it. The Mercedes belongs to your company. You had motive, 20 million naira in pay bridge that you'd lose if Emeka exposed the operation. This is all circumstantial nonsense. Is it? Because I'm about to call you as a witness, put you on the stand, make you explain it all under oath." Now he looked worried. "You can't do that." "I absolutely can, and when you refuse to answer, the jury will wonder why. They'll wonder what you're hiding." He stood up, walked to his window. "You don't understand what you're dealing with, Stephen. These people, the investors, they don't forgive. They don't forget. So you did it for them. You killed Emeka because they ordered you to. I didn't pull the trigger." There it was, a partial confession. "But you were there." He turned to me. "Emeka was going to destroy everything. 20 years of building, connections, power. He was going to throw it all away for what? Morality? In Nigeria? So you sent someone to kill him." "I tried to talk to him. I went there that night to convince him one last time, but he wouldn't listen. He said he was going to EFCC the next day, that everyone involved would go down." "So what happened?" "I made a phone call to people who handle these situations. They came, I left. I didn't see what happened after. But you knew. I knew. And you let Rita take the fall. She was convenient, the perfect suspect. Who wouldn't believe the poor girl married the billionaire for money? I felt rage building in me. You destroyed an innocent woman's life. I did what I had to do to survive, Mr. Allen, same as you, same as everyone in this city." "No, not the same, not even close." I pulled out my phone, showed him the screen. I'd been recording the entire conversation. His face went white. "That's illegal. That's inadmissible." "In court, yes, but in the court of public opinion, when this leaks to the media, you're finished. You wouldn't. Watch me." I took the recording straight to Justice Adewale, an emergency chambers meeting, just the judge, the prosecutor, and me. "Your Honor, I have evidence that a third party orchestrated Chief Badmus's murder and framed my client." I played the recording. When it finished, even the prosecutor looked stunned. "This is explosive, but it's also illegally obtained. Your Honor, I'm asking not to admit it as evidence. I'm asking for an emergency investigation, for the case to be reopened against the real perpetrators." The prosecutor spoke up. "Your Honor, this changes everything. If what Mr. Allen says is true, and that recording certainly suggests it is, then we've been prosecuting the wrong person. What do you recommend, Mr. Lawal?" He looked at me, then at the judge. "I recommend we drop all charges against Mrs. Badmus and open an investigation into Samuel Okoye and his associates." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Your Honor," I said, "Justice Adewale, Rita Badmus has been in prison for 6 months for a crime she didn't commit. She deserves her freedom today." The judge thought for a long moment. "Mr. Lawal, do you consent to immediate dismissal of charges?" "I do, Your Honor."
Then this court hereby dismisses all charges against Mrs. Badmos, effective immediately, and I'm ordering the Lagos State Police to open an investigation into Samuel Okoye for conspiracy to commit murder. They processed Rita's release that afternoon. I waited outside Kitty Kitty. The sun was setting over Lagos, orange and gold, and then the gates opened. Rita walked out, not in handcuffs this time, not in prison clothes, free. She saw me and ran. I caught her as she collapsed into my arms. She was crying, laughing, shaking. "It's over," I said. "You're free." "I can't believe it. I can't." We stood there for a long moment.
You don't need to thank me.
Yes, I do. You saved my life.
The media was already gathering. Cameras, questions.
We should go, I said.
Where?
Anywhere you want. You're free now. The world is yours.
The fallout was massive. Samuel Okoye was arrested within days. The investigation expanded to include the other Paybridge investors, 3 politicians, 2 business tycoons, 1 bank executive, all connected to money laundering, human trafficking, and murder. It became the biggest financial crime case in Nigerian history. Chidi Badmus turned state's witness, got immunity for his testimony. Lola Badmus issued a public apology to Rita. The media that had convicted Rita now celebrated her. From prisoner to hero, Rita Badmus's incredible story. Justice prevails, the woman who survived the system. But Rita didn't care about the media anymore. She'd moved out of the mansion, too many memories, got a small apartment in Lekki, started therapy, started rebuilding her life. 3 months after her release, Rita called me, asked if we could meet for coffee. We met at a cafe in Victoria Island. She looked different, healthier, happier. "How are you?" I asked. "I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. I've been volunteering at a women's shelter, helping others who've been wrongly accused, using my story to make a difference." "That's amazing. What about you, Stephen? How are you?" "Busy, same as always. New cases, new clients. But not too busy to meet me for coffee. Never too busy for that." We talked for 2 hours about everything, about nothing, about what happened, about what might happen next. And somewhere in that conversation, I realized something. I'd fallen in love with her. Maybe I'd been in love with her from the beginning, from that first meeting in Kirikiri, from the moment she looked at me with those fearless eyes. But there was a problem. That night I called Chidinma. "I think I'm in love with Rita." Silence on the other end. "Stephen, she was your client." "Was. Past tense. The case is over." "It's still unethical, still complicated." "I know, but I can't help how I feel." "What are you going to do?" "I don't know. Because here's the thing about being a lawyer. We have rules, ethics, boundaries. Dating a former client isn't technically illegal, but it's frowned upon. It raises questions. Was I objective during the case? Did my feelings cloud my judgment? Did I fight for her because she was innocent, or because I was falling for her? I didn't know anymore. All I knew was that when I was with Rita, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. 2 weeks later, Rita invited me to dinner. A small restaurant in Ikoyi. Quiet. Intimate. We ate, we talked, we laughed. And then, over dessert, she said, "Stephen, I need to tell you something." "Okay. These past months, you've been my rock, my hope, my reason to keep fighting." "Rita, let me finish. I know this is complicated. I know there are rules and boundaries and all of that. But I need you to know I have feelings for you." My heart stopped. Feelings? More than feelings, if I'm honest. I think I'm falling in love with you. There it was, out in the open. Everything I'd been feeling, everything I'd been afraid to say. "Rita, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know. I needed to be honest, because Emeka taught me that life is short, and we don't always get second chances." I reached across the table, took her hand. "I'm in love with you too." She smiled, that beautiful, genuine smile. "What do we do now?" "I don't know, but we'll figure it out, together." But of course, nothing is ever that simple in Lagos. The news got out. Billionaire lawyer dates former client. Ethics violation or true love?
The Nigerian Bar Association launched an investigation. Colleagues whispered, clients questioned my judgment. My reputation, the one I'd built over 20 years, was suddenly under scrutiny. And then there was the Badmus family. Lola called me, asked to meet. "Mr. Allen," she said when I arrived at her house, "I want to thank you for proving Rita's innocence." "Thank you, Mrs. Badmus. But I need to ask you something. Are you dating my son's widow?" I didn't lie. "Yes." Her face hardened. "That's disrespectful to Emeka's memory, to this family. With respect, Mrs. Badmus, Emeka loved Rita. He wanted her to be happy. I think he'd understand. You didn't know my son. Maybe not, but I know Rita, and I know what we have is real. People will talk. They'll say you manipulated her, took advantage of her vulnerability. Let them talk. Rita and I know the truth." She looked at me for a long moment. "Are you willing to risk everything for her?" "Yes." "Then you are either very brave or very foolish. Maybe both." That night, I had a choice to make. I could walk away from Rita, protect my reputation, keep my career on track, or I could follow my heart, risk everything, choose love. I thought about my father again, the driver who'd worked his whole life for other people's approval, who died never having really lived for himself. I thought about Emeka's video, how he'd said every day with Rita was worth whatever came next. And I thought about Rita herself, the woman who survived prison, public scrutiny, the loss of everything, and still had the courage to love again. If she could be that brave, so could I. I called her. "Rita." "Stephen, hi." "I don't care what people say. I don't care about the ethics investigation or the gossip or any of it." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I choose you. I choose us. Whatever comes next, we face it together." I could hear her crying on the other end. "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." 6 months later, Rita and I got married. Small ceremony, just close friends. Jidinma was there. Femi, my mother. Not the society wedding people expected, but it was ours. The ethics investigation was dropped. Turned out I hadn't actually broken any rules. My practice suffered for a while, lost some clients, but gained others, people who respected that I'd stood by my principles. Rita started a foundation for wrongly accused individuals who couldn't afford legal representation. We called it the Emeka Badmus Justice Foundation, using his life insurance money to help others, turning tragedy into purpose.
One night, about a year after the trial, Rita told me something. We were at home, our home, the one we'd bought together. "Stephen, I need to tell you something I've never told anyone." "Okay." She took a deep breath. "The night Emeka died, after I heard the gunshots and ran downstairs, before I picked up the gun?" "Yes." "I saw him." "Saw who?" "The killer, just for a second, running out the window, climbing into the garden." My blood ran cold. "You saw the killer? Why didn't you tell anyone? Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't recognize him. It happened so fast. And then when I was arrested, I was in shock. I convinced myself I'd imagined it." "But you didn't imagine it." "No. And last week, I saw him again." "Where?" "On the news. They arrested another associate from the Paybridge scandal, a man named Kunle Allen. When I saw his photo, it was him. It was him." I sat back, processing this. "Rita, this is important. We need to tell the police." "I know, but I wanted to tell you first. Because what?" "Because I need you to understand. I could have told them from the beginning. I could have saved myself months in prison, but I was scared, traumatized, not thinking clearly. And now? Now I want to help put the last piece of the puzzle in place. I want justice, real justice, not just for me, but for Emeka." We reported it the next day. Kunle Allen was identified through a lineup. Additional evidence connected him to the murder weapon. He was convicted 6 months later. Life in prison. Finally, truly, it was over. 2 years after Rita's acquittal, we were living a life I never imagined.
Rita's foundation had helped free 7 wrongly accused individuals. My practice had rebuilt, stronger than before. We'd bought a house in Lekki, nothing ostentatious, just comfortable, and Rita was pregnant. After doctors said it would be nearly impossible, she was carrying our child. "What should we name him?" she asked one evening, her hand on her belly. "How do you know it's a him?" "Mother's intuition." I thought for a moment. "Emeka. We should name him Emeka." She looked at me, tears in her eyes. "Really?" "Really. Your first husband gave you hope when you had none. He loved you unconditionally. He deserves to be remembered." "And you're okay with that?" "I'm more than okay. I'm honored." She kissed me. "I love you, Stephen Allen." "I love you too, Rita Allen." Sometimes people ask me, "Do you regret taking Rita's case? Do you regret the controversy, the ethics investigation, the career damage?" And I always say the same thing. No, not for a second. Because that case taught me something. Justice isn't just about winning in court. It's about fighting for truth, even when it's hard, even when it costs you. And love, real love, is worth any risk. Rita was accused of murder. I fell in love while defending her. And then I found out the truth. Not just about the case, but about myself. I'd spent 20 years chasing success, money, reputation, but none of that meant anything compared to what I found with Rita. Purpose, partnership, love. Chief Emeka Bodmus was murdered because he tried to do the right thing. His widow was framed because she was an easy target. But in the end, truth prevailed. Justice was served. And 2 people who'd been broken by the system found healing in each other. That's the real story. Not the scandal, not the headlines, but the love that grew from tragedy, the hope that survived the darkness, and the life we built together.
Africa is a continent
From the
of
ashes of
untold
grief
potential,
and injustice,
vibrant culture,
a new beginning.
and stories that deserve to be heard.